We are tracking a new headache for Hillary Clinton tonight as she deals with questions this week on whether there was a cash for hostages deal with the nation of Iran. And this takes on a whole new dynamic when you consider that last winter, in the height of her campaign, she was letting people know just how fond she was of her role in that deal.
I spent 18 months putting together the sanctions against Iran so that we could force them to the negotiating table.
And it wasn't just last winter. She was even taking a victory lap on the Iran deal just last week at the DNC.
I'm proud that we put a lid on Iran's nuclear program without firing a single shot. Now we have to enforce it, and we must keep supporting Israel's security.
But now that controversy has exploded over this $400 million middle-of-the-night cash payment to Tehran. Mrs. Clinton doesn't seem quite so eager to embrace the deal. Watch.
Today, America learned there was a shipment of $400 million worth of foreign currency on a secret air cargo flight to that country. Did you know that was coming, and do you approve of it?
Well, the White House has addressed this, and I think actually this is kind of old news.
That being said, do you approve of it?
Well, look, I think we know that the agreement has put a lid on Iran's nuclear weapons program.
Republicans will say, no way, no how do you fork over cash to that regime?
Well, that's because they want to continue to criticize the agreement.
Charles Krauthammer is a Fox News contributor and a syndicated columnist. Charles, great to see you. So she wouldn't go so far as to say, I disapprove of it. She just went to the same old thing that we've heard from President Obama these past 48 hours, which is, this is old news. This is old news.
Well, she's obviously hiding from the issue, and it's because it brings up the larger issue of the Iran nuclear deal. But, I mean, you can pin a lot on Hillary, but it's hard to pin the cash for hostages deal on her. It happened long after she left office, and I can't even imagine that she was in on any of that negotiation. What you can accuse her of, what you can pin on her, is that she began the whole process years before with secret negotiations in the Gulf states with Iran that led ultimately to negotiations taken over by John Kerry, where he and Obama gave away the store, gave away everything. The cash for hostages deal, was an addendum thrown in at the end. At the end, they were giving up everything. They were so desperate to get a deal. They were giving away all kinds of positions and demands that they had insisted on. I'm talking about Obama and Kerry. And one of them, in the end, was to give over cash and, what was not even mentioned, a lot of Iranians who were spies and who were supposed to be jailed, or we were asking for extradition, were released in exchange for our hostages. So they got their hostages, or their spies, plus the cash.
But why do we have to keep pretending that it's not clear that it was for hostages when we have the middle of the night payment, not in U.S. currency because we have of our sanctions, and then this testimonial from one of the hostages, Saeed Abedini, who came out today and said, guess what happened when we were waiting to leave Iran? Watch.
And, you know, they told us, you're going to be there for 20 minutes, but it took like hours and hours. We slept at the airport, and when I asked them why you don't let us go, because the plane was there, pilot was there, everyone was ready that we leave the country, they said we are waiting for another plane, and until that plane doesn't come, we never let you go.
And the understanding is we know what was on that plane. $400 million in cash.
Well, that's what happens when you exchange hostages for cash. It's called a ransom. We've all seen it in the movies. You wait for the other car to arrive with the cash, and then you do the exchange. This is very simple. And the fact that they deny it, Obama did it with a straight face and with a kind of mocking tone, shows utter contempt for the intelligence of the American people.
It's also a sign of deception. The spy the lie guys say when you start mocking the question, that's one of the many tells that there's dishonesty or potential deception.
And the idea that it's old news, nobody knew until now that there was a secret exchange of cash. And again, why cash? Number one, because it broke the law. We're not supposed to deal in dollars with Iran. It was a way to launder the money through Switzerland. And second, because when you are distributing the money to terrorists, Hezbollah, Hamas, who will be killing Jews and Americans and Europeans and others with that money, you give it out in cash. It's completely unaccountable. This is obvious what happened, and the denial, I think, is a real insult.